Make sure to check out my Patreon for exclusive videos never before seen on YouTube. And don't forget to also check out the memberships on my channel page to join and gain access to perks and see videos early. Make sure to click the subscribe button and hit the bell and be notified of new videos. All the support goes to the production of the channel for better content. Now let's get into the video. On a distant planet, a Saiyan warrior by the name of Bardock was with his squad of members, Fasha and so on. They were just overtook a planet, as they had to use the Great Ape State to then defeat these species. This was when Bardock was still given sightseeing abilities. Bardock was now sitting there thinking of a plan to save his son and to find a way to make sure that his family and he can save as many Saiyans as possible from Frieza's doom. We are going to cut forward back more, even back to when Raditz was born. Bardock here is now much more intelligent. He's more of a brilliant scientist, on par with the other Saiyan scientists that we see in Biologist on planet Vegeta. But Bardock is still a Saiyan warrior, and he always has been. With a high battle power, he would still travel around planets and destroy them. Bardock would make more strategic, tactical advances, but Bardock knows how dangerous Frieza is. Even a monkey like him could see that. He knows that Frieza is scared of Saiyans, and that one day he could potentially destroy the Saiyan Empire. And considering how strong they're getting, that could be a possibility. With Bardock being very intelligent, he would be more in the middle, between a Saiyan warrior and a scientist as well. He would also have a very pivotal role in actually Broly. Bardock has been secretly gathering DNA and powers to mutate Saiyan cells, among to make his children as strong as possible, and for the Saiyan warriors to secretly have something to overthrow Frieza. It was a project that King Vegeta originally wanted to start, as he gave the green light, as it was more of a experimentation, kind of like a legit Super Saiyan, to make a Saiyan stronger than before, in case beings like Frieza might ever turn on them. They might have a chance. But the project was thrown a long time ago. But Bardock, alongside with Gene's help, he would secretly gather these data files, and he would be able to work on it privately in his own home. Bardock would then actually experiment on Raditz. But before he touches Raditz first, he would then try on a random Saiyan child. And this child was actually Broly. He would mutate his cells, thus the outcome was random. It was a 50-50 shot. It would either kill the child or he would survive. Broly survived. With Broly now having a higher potential, his S cells were off the charts. This is when Bardock would then dive into the theory of S cells, understanding that if you do have higher S cells, you might be able to transform into something else other than a Great Ape. He links this theory to the Super Saiyan legend, but even experimenting on himself, he knows that his S cells are far too low to do something like this. And Raditz's are far too low as well, as there are only certain beings that have the high enough S cells to survive doing an experimentation. After another test on a Saiyan child that passed away that had lower S cells, Bardock comes to the theory and conclusion that you need to have high S cells to survive this mutation process. Broly was able to survive because his S cells were already high at birth. Once when Raditz would still grow up, the same as before, his childhood would not be much different. Bardock would still travel around with his squad. Now once when Goku was born, this is when Bardock would still get the visions like he had before. The difference here is that Bardock would actually not be on the planet where he was destined to be killed by Dodoria. As you guys remember, his whole squad was completely obliterated and killed, thus when Bardock got his revenge, but he nearly got killed by Dodoria and he tried warning the Saiyans. Bardock knows that he doesn't have much time. But Bardock, with all the data that he's collected, he knows that Raditz can't survive this, but he has an idea. His son, Goku, or Kakarot. His son Kakarot, his S cells are extraordinarily high, almost like Broly's, but a little bit different. He knows that he has all this DNA. He was even able to get DNA from Frieza, which might seem very far-fetched, but it is very possible. This is when Bardock would then put all of the data that he has into Goku's space pod, getting it ready to go. Bardock here would also give him the mutation, but again, it affects Broly differently. Since you need to remember that Broly was born as a mutated Saiyan in a way, he already was not normal. Goku is more of a normal Saiyan, but his S cells are already high naturally, so he will not get a legendary Super Saiyan form, just to make that clear for everybody. But his S cells are way higher than before. With Bardock now ready, Bardock was also not severely wounded and he never went into the healing chamber just like before. This is when he knows that Frieza is going to be blowing up the planet soon, and he knows that he has no chance of stopping Frieza. Even though he could make his last stand, he knows that he needs to follow the future. He knows that if he does his cards right, then Kakarot, his main son, will kill Frieza. He doesn't know how, he doesn't know when, but he knows that he will end Frieza, and that is when the Saiyan Empire can rebuild. But he needs to let his son follow the path. This is when Bardock, with Gine, he would then get Goku into the space pod just like before, thus sending him off to planet Earth. His space pod had a bit more advancements to it, such as a way to help training, and it has terabytes and terabytes of data and tons of footage, even video recordings of Bardock speaking to his son and more. So when Goku does arrive, he can be able to learn and grow as strong as he can to help him kill Frieza when the day comes. Once when Frieza's ship was arriving, King Vegeta would still be killed like before, and this is when Dodoria would actually try to search for Bardock to find him, but he couldn't find him with no avail. Bardock already has a spaceship ready. Him and Gine would actually get into the spaceship because they don't know where Raditz exactly is, and he knows that all communications are tapped by Frieza. So for right now, Bardock knows he needs to get out of here. This is when Bardock and Gine would then flee the planet, and they would actually follow the coordinates of Broly, who was actually sent off earlier afterwards. This is when Paragus would soon arrive afterwards as well. As a few days pass on, Bardock and Gine were actually on planet Vampa adapting. Bardock took tons of supplies, even his own farming equipment and more. He had a machine that was able to actually farm vegetables and other types of food, so they can survive off of it, and of course bring sustenance, and of course water, where they can use the atmosphere to help make water. As Bardock's a brilliant scientist, he should easily be able to make things like this, and tons more. They were able to take a very small version of Frieza's ship, maybe like 1/3 of the size, which had plenty of items that they needed, clothing and more, and a healing chamber as well. This is when they would then arrive on planet Vampa and meet Broly, as Broly was eating one of these large spider bug creatures. This is when Bardock and Gine, who's very kind-hearted, and Broly does appreciate Gine, would then take them under their wing for a few weeks. As you guys know, this is when Paragus would arrive with this other Saiyan warrior. Now, we don't know originally what happened to him. We did hear that Paragus technically killed him, or you could even say that he could die either way from one of the monsters, as he was a low-class warrior. This is when Bardock would then talk to Paragus, and over time, Paragus would actually learn to let go of his hatred of mainly King Vegeta. And this is when Bardock would then come clean and tell him that he mutated on his son, but now his son is stronger than ever. And when the time comes, he'll become a strong ally to bring peace to the universe. Now, Bardock is more of a neutral man, but he does believe that peace needs to be brought on the world, and that if a power like that gets out of hand, it could lead to a bunch of problems. So Broly was like a little guinea pig in a way, but he was still treated fairly. This is when we're going to cut to the original Dragon Ball tale, when Son Goku still landed on planet Earth, and Raditz was still off-world somewhere, and they have no clue where he is. Because again, all communication is tapped by Frieza, and Raditz is kind of under Vegeta and Nappa's wing in a way, being the punching bag. This is when Goku would still meet Grandpa Gohan, and he would meet Bulma the same as before. Now again, Bulma would still show up at the same time. Now what you can have here is when the space pod does come out, there will be a message. And it would be for Bardock to say whoever finds this, or if it is his son, it would then be a message explaining who he is and where he came from. And that once when you're grown up enough to see these clips, and then a container would open with these strange data files. This is when I think Grandpa Gohan would actually take the space pod, as he's still a very strong man. He would be able to take it and bring it to his home, but keeping it hidden from Goku as to let him grow up a little bit normally. This is when I believe that when especially Grandpa Gohan would then learn of Goku. As once when he slides, it's like a VHS tape, he can learn all about the Saiyans. Once when Goku's asleep, he would then study and learn about the Saiyan Empire. Everything about them he learns, which amazes him that there are aliens out there. He would know about the moon and the effect that it causes the Great Ape State. He learns everything about it. So this does change the story, as once when Bulma arrives, Grandpa Gohan is still alive, because he knows about Goku turning into a great ape, and Goku by this point, he hasn't really seen much of the recordings at all. He does know about his other dad, but he hasn't seen much of them yet, as it was in Bardock's video states, if whoever finds this, wait until you're old enough to see it. So Grandpa Gohan's gonna hold on to them until Goku's a grown man, or until he's at least a little bit more mature. Also meeting Bulma, they would still become friends just like before, as Grandpa Gohan would allow Goku to go. Now by the way, this version of Goku is a little bit stronger than his original self, because he has Grandpa Gohan around to teach and train him. So, since Goku is a little bit more stronger, this would change a few events in the story. Now, of course, this is when Goku and Bulma would still meet the turtle. And thus meeting the turtle, this is when they would arrive, seeing, of course, Master Roshi. With Master Roshi here, this is when Goku and Bulma would then get the 4-star Dragon Ball and also get Nimbus as well. This is when, of course, afterwards, they would then stop the reign of the terrible Oolong. Just like before, just Goku has a bit of an easier time. Now in terms of power levels, we can dive into the fact that Goku had a power level of around 10 to 12. Now we do know it could be higher than that, but in terms of what if purposes, let's say he had a battle power of around 10, and the average human is around 5. If Goku here, again, trained with Grandpa Gohan a lot more. Grandpa Gohan taught him the Kamehameha wave, and Goku has already known about it, and he's already stronger than before with more martial arts experience. Goku here does actually have a battle power of, I would definitely say, around 40 to 50, thus making him 5 times stronger than he originally was. So this is when Goku, even though he was exhausted and tired and hungry, would still be able to defeat Yamcha and Puar just like before. This is when Master Roshi would still use the Kamehameha wave to put out the Frying Pan Mountain, and this is when they would then find the 7-star Dragon Ball. Goku would still defeat the Boss Rabbit Gang, and this is when Goku and Krillin would become Master Roshi's students, just like before, but they would need to find launch, as Master Roshi knows of Goku's presence because of Grandpa Gohan. Now, this is when Roshi would then move his house to a larger island, and this is when they would begin their training. Now, through the 7 months of training, Goku would quickly start adapting much quicker than actually Roshi thought, as his battle power was rising actually faster than usual. This is because Goku has higher S cells, thus making his potential even higher, and the chances of turning into a Super Saiyan much higher. This is when Goku and Krillin would even be boosted even more, because Roshi now has the confidence to now start training so he can keep up with Goku. This is also when Krillin would even grow more powerful as well. Goku's new battle power would go from around 50 to around 200. This already makes him a lot more stronger than he originally was, especially in the tournament. And this is when they would still weight the shells on their backs to 40 kg just like before of their training. Now, this is when the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament would begin. This is when Jackie Chung, or Master Roshi, would still fight Goku. But I do think that even though Roshi has trained, he will put up a better fight, but I feel like Goku's adaptability, since he's stronger, would actually overpower Roshi. And this is when Goku would actually be able to win. But of course, Goku would still spend all the money on eating all that food. The Red Ribbon Army saga would then start. This is when they first found the 7-star Dragon Ball. And Goku and his friends would then team up to go stop the Red Ribbon Army. He would easily defeat Colonial Silver just like before, and take down Muscle Tower. When the Dragon Radar was now repaired, this is when Goku would then fight General Blue. Around, would he meet Ariel? I believe he still would, because even if they still land in Penguin Village, he would easily be able to defeat General Blue by himself, no issue. And he would also be able to defeat Mercenary Tao before he would kill General Blue in the first place. Now, this is when Goku was still at the base of Korin's tower, but Goku would still climb up and go see what's going on. He would begin his training to take the secret water. Now we know that Goku originally took the water to go defeat Mercenary Tao. Once when he trains with Korin, and Korin sees how strong Goku's become, he wants to unlock his latent potential. After 3 days of training, he would still get the sacred water, thus boosting his power even higher, when he would then single-handedly destroy the entire Red Ribbon Army just like before. This is when would the Fortune Teller Baba saga happen? I believe it would. Here's that Grandpa Gohan was not brought back from the dead, as he's still alive in the Bamboo Forest, but he would still defeat Devilman and Mummy Man and everyone else. This is when also Goku would then enter the Demon World and fight Shula. Now if you guys don't know what this is basically based from age 750 to 753. This is during the 3-year timeline. He was training to run around the world, and he would fight the Plague and Terror. This is when he would meet Master Chin and fights the Sky Dragon and the Master Arch Contest. This is where he would also meet Tien Shenhan for the first time, as then now, This is where Goku would then fly over to Papa Island, where the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament will then take place. Now going on, this is in the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament takes place. This is where Tien Shenhan would actually lose against Goku. With Goku being so much more powerful than he originally was, Tien Shenhan has no chance of beating this version of Goku. Now in terms of power levels, Goku already has a power level of around 400. Makes him way stronger than Demon King Piccolo. Way stronger than he originally was. Krillin will still be killed by Tambourine, but once when Goku sees this, this would then send his anger blaring. As then the sky would then turn black, Goku's anger will skyrocket. Goku's rage, as he was right on the scale of turning into a Super Saiyan, he would then fly off, his aura flickering on and off, a little bit golden and off. He would then kill Tambourine just like before, and this is when Demon King Piccolo would then arrive. When Goku's anger would continue rising, as even though Tambourine was killed, it was Demon King Piccolo's fault. After, he would then send Goku over the edge. Goku's anger was still there, but it was rising even more. Demon King Piccolo would then tell him that once, even though his little friend is dead, Krillin, he's going to kill everybody else that he loves. This would then send Goku right over the edge, as the lightning would then hit the ground of energy, and it would then make Goku transform into a Super Saiyan. So power levels, if Goku had a battle power of around 400, his battle power as a Super Saiyan will be 20,000, which is insanely high. But he can't hold the form for long, as while true, he is a little bit stronger, he is still a child, and that energy consumption is extremely high. He would easily destroy Demon King Piccolo with not much of an effort at all, not even breaking a sweat. After being defeated, this is when Goku would then pass out, turning back into base form. This is when they would use the Dragon Balls to bring Krillin back to life. This is when Goku, who was knocked out, they were worried about him because it did damage his body, as Goku did a lot of strain on his body for being so young with that much power output is insane. This is when Yajirobe would then take Goku and then climb to Korin Tower, and this is when Goku would then need a Senzu Bean, which would then save his life. Now, this is when Goku would begin training under Korin again, and this is when he would drink the sacred water one more time. Now, by the way, during the time with Piccolo Jr., this also means that with Piccolo Jr. not being around, then Goku would have no mercy on Demon King Piccolo. Now you could say that it would be like the first couple strikes, and then he could spit out an egg out of desperation, maybe when Goku passes out because he punches a hole right through him out of anger. I do believe that Piccolo Jr. needs to be alive, since Piccolo is my favorite character. With Piccolo Jr. now being spit out, he's now still alive. This is when Goku would then climb all the way up to go meet Mr. Popo and Kami. For the next 3 years, Goku would begin his training. Now we are actually going to cut forward when, after of course going back and forth, once when Goku was actually old enough, this is when Goku would actually meet up with Grandpa Gohan, who would actually be allowed to come up to Kami's lookout. Now Goku was actually carrying the space pod, as Kami believes that it's important for Goku to truly study his kind. This is when Goku would then take his time over the year to study everything his father has made Bardock. And he would learn so much about the Saiyans, what Super Saiyan is, what the S cells are, the Uzaru state. He would learn how to control his Uzaru state, and even more. He would then learn that his father was still alive, but he was out there somewhere, and Goku has no clue where. Goku, at this point, during the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, this is when I believe that he would definitely go see Bulma. Now, of course, would he meet up with Chi-Chi? Yes, and I do believe that he would still marry Chi-Chi, just like before, because he would still promise her as a kid. That wouldn't really change anything. Now, this is when Goku would actually talk to Bulma and explain what he has, and explain that he wants to give it to her so she can help him learn, because there's some really like high-tech stuff in there that was meant to help him grow stronger. Bulma would then state that she'll take a plan to go look at it, and he wants to come by Capsule Corp on his own time. He definitely can. Is definitely when Goku and Chi-Chi would then begin their wedding, and then of course this is when Goku would then battle Piccolo Jr. Now, battling Piccolo, though Piccolo is a little bit stronger because he has a higher golden reach, knowing how strong Goku was, it doesn't matter. This version of Goku growing more powerful, he has a battle power of roughly around, I would definitely say 400 all the way up to around 600. But Goku has a trick up his sleeve. He's been training for 3 years to master that power that he had. Now with Goku being a full-fledged adult, Goku would actually be able to transform into a Super Saiyan, thus boosting up his power way higher. as now he has a battle power of 30,000, he would have easily defeated Piccolo Jr., not even breaking a sweat. Even without Super Saiyan, he could have easily won. Even dropping his guard, it wouldn't have really changed anything. Goku would have still been able to win. This is when we are now going to have, once when Goku and Chi-Chi get together, this is when they're going to go live together, and this is when Gohan would still be born. Now, Gohan will have the same potential that he had before, as he already had very high S cells. Not that much would really change, as you need to understand too the fact that, well, with this being said, with Gohan being as broken as he is already, he doesn't need any more boosting in power. But with Goku now having more knowledge, over the next 5 years, some changes are going to occur. This is when Bulma would then meet up with Goku and explain to him about the fact that there's so much good stuff here that you need to see. She would then showcase the gravity room, the fact that his father Bardock knows that Earth has low gravity, and that what if they implemented gravity training? And there would be other things as well. There was even this thing called a Blitzwave machine. But Bulma doesn't really know how it works, but she's still trying to get the hang of it, working on it right now, as she believes that what this will do is trigger his Oozaru transformation. She believes that this was maybe something for if he was ever in a bad spot and he needed to get a 10 times power boost, that's something that he can get. But she knows that he has that golden crazy form, so he doesn't really need it. But she'll keep it on the back side of the wall for now. She would also show Goku the Saiyan armor. It was the armor that his father had. Goku would look at it as he does think it looks nice, but he wouldn't wear it as it's really restrictive on him. It feels a bit tight, and it doesn't really fit his style. But Bulma will think that, well, maybe she'll save it for whenever they need it, as Goku understands that, as this great battle armor, and it can offer protection for him. So she'll actually make more for him in case there's like a big battle and he can use it. Is also going back to planet Vampa. This is when Raditz, Vegeta, Nappa was still cleaner the planet Sheik. And this is when they would still have the audience with Frieza. And of course, this is when they have their plans to usurp the tyrannical ruler. This is when Raditz would understand about Earth and he knows that his brother is there. Now, Bardock by this time does not want to go near his son Goku. But he is trying to find Raditz. But he hasn't been able to because every time he tries hacking into Frieza's services, his whole team, remember, Bardock's one scientist versus thousands that Frieza has of high-tech people. Bardock only has so many supplies on planet Vampa. So he isn't able to actually reach Raditz, and he doesn't want to alert because he doesn't want Frieza to come up here and of course cause problems. With Broly and the others actually being fully grown up, Broly's battle power is actually higher because he's been training with Bardock, and Broly actually has much more control over his Saiyan rage, as Bardock noticed that early on when he was a child, Bardock, Paragus, and the other Saiyan were barely able to beat him, and the other Saiyan was actually killed by Broly in his rage. And of course, Gine was actually able to calm him down, as Gine's kind of taken more of like a motherly type of role to Broly, as he's very gentle towards her. Bardock by this point already made it an advanced home in the cave, and they have actually quite luxury, as Bardock was able to bring his machine to create things, as he knows that they can leave, as Paragus' whole goal is to get revenge on Vegeta, but he's let that go after a long time. But then he states that his son could probably defeat Frieza, but Bardock states that he could, or he might. But that's not the point. He knows that his son will kill Frieza. He would actually study his condition a lot more, and he notices that it does pull out the true future. And Paragus would respect it, as if that means that Frieza will suffer if they wait here for a while, that's fine by me. They have to stay hidden, as planet Vampa is a perfect place to hide. And this is also plenty of time for Broly to continue to grow, as he has a long way to go. But Bardock would then smirk and tell them that, but when the time comes and Frieza's destroyed, I will go meet my son, and then we can all become a family again, as that's what Gine really wanted. She always just wants to be with her babies and have them and be happy. Bardock would say that the planet that he's on is a beautiful, rich planet. It's a perfect place for us to live. And once when Frieza's empire is destroyed, there's still going to be remnants. But my goal is to bring back the Saiyan Empire to a degree. Not tyrannical rulers who pirate and take over planets, but the majority of the good Saiyans, the pure-hearted ones, as he wishes that he could, and the fact that once when he does this, the Saiyans can maybe be a symbol for something else in the future. Raditz would still arrive on Earth just like before. Now this is when Goku would then meet him on Kami's house. Master Roshi's home, Raditz would then explain who he is, and Goku instantly knew that Raditz was his brother, and the fact that he's a Saiyan. He can already see it. Now, Goku by this point still does have his tail, so Raditz would not get offended by seeing that it was taken off, by the way. This is when Goku would then tell him that he knows everything. His father put data chips inside, so he knows everything about the Saiyan Empire. He knows everything about him and his brother. He knows how strong he is and everything else. He's not interested in joining a tyrannical ruler. Raditz would then state that you don't have a choice as it's your birthright. Goku would still decline him. As this is when Krillin would then walk up to Raditz, who would still get his tail hitting him in the face, sending Krillin into his house. This is when Raditz would then try to take Gohan. This is when Goku would then grab Raditz's arm and then throw him to the side of the beach, stating that you will not touch my son, and I'm giving you one chance to leave and never return. Raditz would be out of a little bit of fear, as how was his brother that quick? Goku would then begin powering up, as Raditz would then tap his scouter and see that Goku's battle power is around 1,200, which is similar to his. This is when Raditz would state that it doesn't matter, I'm still a superior Saiyan, and the two would begin their fight right alongside the beach. With both of them battling back and forth, Goku would be able to hold his own very well. But Goku knows that he needs to end this fight. He would then begin transforming. Slowly powering up into a Super Saiyan, Raditz's face goes from amazement to instant shock and terror, as Raditz would then see that his battle power was rising rapidly. He would then yell out 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, and it would continue to rise over 35,000, and then it would explode. Vegeta and Nappa also heard this, as Bardock heard it. Bardock is tapped into Frieza's communication system so he can hear everything, and he does hear Raditz yelling out that somebody, and mainly his brother, has a battle power of over 35,000, and that he has the blue eyes, and then his scouter just turns off. This is when Bardock would then worry that they're going to fight each other, but maybe it's just Goku showing off how strong he's become. He was happy. The fact that the S cells were working, and the fact that his son could even be a Super Saiyan, which would also surprise Paragus as well. Raditz now seeing a Super Saiyan, he would then quit altogether, as he knows that he has no chance against this version of Goku, and that he's the Saiyan of legend. Goku would still tell him to leave. He would then take the hint, as he would then explain that if he knows all about Frieza, then they can stop him together. Goku would then explain that no, you tried hurting my family and my son, you're lucky you're getting out of here with your life. As you have to understand that Super Saiyan still plays in the person's emotions. It makes them more wild and a little bit more rationing with rules. And it does make them more angry. So Goku's not as nice. Raditz would instantly leave, getting into his space pod and then leaving. This is when Raditz would then arrive on planet Vampa. Flying all the way there, he would then notice as he was heading towards Vegeta and Nappa that his scouter, as he has a backup one in his space pod, would then start to beep. As he would then notice that it was more like a Morse code, but it was hidden as it wasn't under any other communication, and it was sending coordinates. Raditz would then immediately go towards that way, seeing what it is. And after a few months of traveling, he would then arrive on planet Vampa. This is when Raditz would then see a giant monster appear, as he would destroy it with the double sundae, as then, before he could really destroy it, it was a large green called Baba. This is when Broly would actually appear, and Broly would actually grab his hand, and Raditz would actually be able to break free, and he would begin fighting Broly. But now, of course, Broly was not even trying, as he's way more powerful than Raditz is. Raditz would then stop as he hears his mother and father. It will be a very emotional reunion, as Raditz will state that he's seen his brother, and that his brother is a Super Saiyan. But he's seen it with his own eyes. His battle power was unlike anything he's ever felt and seen before. Bardock would have extremely high hopes and be very happy, as he would then sit down with his son Raditz and begin explaining everything to him. This is when Bardock would begin telling the story of what Goku was going to do to Frieza. And that is it for this. What if you guys thank you for watching? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think down below about Bardock being a brilliant scientist and the fact that he's alive. As once when Frieza will be destroyed by Goku one day, this is when Bardock would then finally reunite with his son, and this is when the what up's going to take a big turn. But anyway, make sure to give this video to 300 likes. If it gets there, I shall continue on to the next part. Anyway, I appreciate all the support, and I'll talk to you all later.